Hi everybody, welcome back. This is part 21 now of the Trumpeter 1/200 scale Bismarck build with the Pontos set. Last time in part 20 I built the funnel, and this time I'm going to be completing the funnel area by building the two aircraft hangars at the side of the funnel. There were 4 aircraft hangars altogether on the Bismarck, a couple on the aft superstructure and these two that I'm building this week. One of these on the starboard side I'm going to leave open because I want to display one of the Arados that I built in one of the earlier episodes in the starboard hangar, just with the nose pointing out of the hangar a little bit. So I've got to open all the doors up and do a little bit of extra detailing on that particular hangar. So again, we've got quite a bit of Pontos Photo-etch to do this week, so we better get started. I'm going to start this week by going back to the funnel, and that's because at the end of the last video I was a bit puzzled about this platform. I couldn't find the railing for it, and that's because the whole platform is replaced in the Pontos set. But we'll just have a look at the instructions and I'll show you why I missed that. So these were the instructions that I was following last week on all the funnel assembly, and you can see that the platform is actually missing during this stage of the assembly, so there's no mention of that upper platform at all. Where it does appear is here on the page before, where we're building the upper part of the bridge. And this little section here deals with the parts that we're wanting. So you can see it's got the semicircular platform that's meant to go on the back of the funnel, and a bridge over to the upper part of the bridge structure on the ship. And this actually houses the foremast as well. It's known in the Pontos instructions as the foremast platform, but because it's here fairly isolated amongst the instructions, I managed to miss it. And it wasn't until I think it was Klaus made a comment about the fact that there's a platform going from the funnel over to the bridge that I decided to look again at the instructions, and that's where I found this particular section. So what I'm going to have to do is go back to the funnel and remove that plastic platform, and we'll build this new structure instead to replace it, hopefully without doing too much damage to the funnel. So I'm just going to see how secure this assembly is. If you're of a nervous disposition, you can look away now. That's a good sound. And that one. I've obviously got the steam whistle and this other vent as well that I'm going to have to remove. But generally that's come away pretty well. I'm fairly happy with that. Needs a little bit of clean up. I'm probably going to have to remove the little ladder here in order to clean the part up properly. But that's come off pretty clean, and it's just left one section of plastic. I might even get away with not removing that ladder. No, I'm going to take it off. So that's cleaned up pretty well, and what I'm pleased about is that I've still retained the ledges here to fit the new platform onto. The fix might have been a little bit more difficult if I'd have lost those. So we'll just take a look at the new platform just to make sure it's going to fit alright. I'm not actually going to put it in position at this stage because I'll do that when I fit the funnel and the bridge and I can join the two together using this new platform. But we'll just take a look just to make sure it sits on this assembly nicely. So one of the other reasons that I missed this particular assembly is that the photo-etch part isn't amongst the rest of the funnel parts. It's located here on this fret, which is actually fret number 1 in the main Pontos set. But I've not really studied this fret very much. And one thing that I do using Pontos sets is I always have a look through the frets just to get something in my memory about some of the parts that are available. But because this one was just on the railings fret, it never really registered with me. But you can see it's much better than the plastic part. It's actually a mesh grilled affair. So it's a lot more representative of the actual platform. It does have a step in it, so we've got a couple of little bends to make. So eventually this part will just rest on those two lips that I managed to preserve, and I think that's going to go together all right. So that's a bit of a save, I suppose. And again, thanks to Klaus for just making me look again at the Pontos set and finding this platform. That's all good. So I am going to put the funnel away now. And the next job to do is to build the aircraft hangars that sit alongside the funnel. I've also managed to salvage the two parts from the Trumpeter kit, which will refit to that platform a bit later on when we come to assemble it. So next we're going to build the two hangars sitting next to the funnel, which are these here. It shows you in this section of the Pontos instructions. So quite a bit of photo etch to do on this, including some grab rails, which we've done before, having to drill the holes out with the templates. So we'll do that, fit all the walkways, and then paint them up. I am going to have one of these hangars with the doors open, so I've got to use some references to see how the doors actually sat on the open hanger. So we'll do one closed and one open for a bit of variety, and I'm going to have one of the Arados that I built in a previous episode with the nose just sticking out of the hanger. You can see the fairly substantial assemblies. Just a little bit of flash on these openings on the hanger. There is a little bit of flash on these, at least on this side, so I just need a bit of careful cleaning up. Generally the rest of the kit's not too bad. Again, we've got some more flash here that we're going to have to clear out. Just checking the position of that inner door, just to make sure it butts up flush to the bottom of the funnel here, which it does, so that's okay. With the major parts in place, plastic parts, I'll start to put some of the photo etch on, starting with these three little ladder rungs. And to fit those, Pontos provides some templates to drill the holes out for those. So that's the first job, get those on. We just need to remove a couple of the plastic platform brackets from the Trumpeter moulding, which are these middle ones. I'm just going to use some clear tape on the template. So that fixes the template into position nice and firmly, and also lets us see the holes that we've got to drill. And then we just want 3 of the rungs. So they're going reasonably easily, despite the size. The templates are pretty essential for making sure that the holes are at the right sort of distance. That's the first job with the photo etch. Next, I can put the Trumpeter boat crutches on. Just going back to the walkways now. These are the most delicate parts on these hangar assemblies. So it's always best, I think, to get the plastic parts built up before you put the photo etch on. One of the things with photo etch, when you fit in parts like that, I've got the railing, but it's not quite in the right position. But rather than adjust that at this stage, I'll just make sure that the actual gantry is fully fixed. Just do one step at a time, make sure the glue's gone off, and then we can do the adjustments to that part. These photo-etched gantries or platforms are a lot more detailed than in the Trumpeter photo-etch. And they also include the railings as well, so they're much better. So that one's fitted. I'll do the other one now. These Pontos gantries have a little ladder as well that connects the two together. Need to be careful with these railings now, they're very fine. This is a good example of where Pontos just overcomplicate things, providing two of these little brass strips to go on the underside when one would have done just joined all the way across. I'm not sure why they do things like that. It just gives us extra work to do. The last piece of photo etch for these hangars is the railing around these two platforms going up the side of the roof. And Pontos have had to etch these separately, these railings, rather than try to attach them to the platforms. I guess it's because of the geometry of the angle of the roof that they're not able to do that all in one. Although I'm looking at it and I think they might have been able to do it, but again they've provided three parts for us to attach together, and it's always difficult attaching railings like this, where you've just basically got the bottom of the stanchion to attach to the platform. So where we've got these types of railings where they just fix the stanchions to the platforms, in other words the platforms aren't etched together with the stanchions, they're a bit tricky. So what we have to do is a couple of things to help. The first one is not to try to glue all of the stanchions together. There are 7 on this assembly, and it wouldn't be possible to get cement on all 7 and locate them simultaneously, or at least it'd be extremely difficult to do that. So the idea is just to get 1 or 2 of them attached to get you started and just to secure the set of railings into place. And I started on this particular example with these 2 stanchions at the back. So I just dabbed the bottom of the stanchions into a pool of CA here on the bench, got them fitted, and once the first couple are located, I just seal the CA with some super glue activator or accelerator, but not from a spray can like this. You'd waste far too much doing it like that. I just decant some into a little bottle, and just make sure you keep the lid on when it's not in use, otherwise it evaporates really quickly and you're just going to waste it. So a little container like that, and I use a really old paintbrush just to dip in the accelerator and just touch the CA where you've applied it, and that'll bond it instantly. And once you've got the first couple of bonds and they're absolutely firm, you can then work around the other stanchions and get them into place gradually, one by one, each time using some of the accelerator just dabbed on, just to really firm the connection up. So they are tricky, there's no doubt about that, but that's just a technique to help you in that sort of situation. Next up, we've got some ladders to fit and the last couple of pieces of Trumpeter plastic, and then these will be ready for some primer and paint. These ladders that go up the sides of the hangars are fairly delicate. You've got to bend each of the attachment points individually. So with those attachments, there's very small contact points. So just bend that to go over the top of the roof. And I'll just attach it in probably a couple of places. I don't need to do all of them. And just going back to our accelerator, if we just touch that in the area that we've glued, it'll secure the top of that ladder, and I can make adjustments to the bottom. Just get it nicely lined up. and a touch of C8 down at the bottom of the ladder. And again, just a drop of accelerator. And that secures the ladder in place. So, being sparing with the glue, just attaching the ladder at just 2 or 3 points along its length means that you just don't get glue everywhere. The accelerator is a really good way of securing that quickly and without a lot of mess. So the last few trumpeter pieces. These are the 2 doors that I'm going to have open on the hanger on the starboard side. And because they're open, I just want to add a little bit of detail to the inside of this door. I don't have a photograph of that, but I'm assuming it had some sort of bracing or structure on it. So I'm not going to go overboard, I'm just going to put some very fine plastic strip just to detail that a little bit. This is 0.25 by 0.75 millimeter styrene. That's all I'm going to do with that. Just adds a little bit of framework to the inside. So there we are with our 2 hanger doors. Now the way that these operated was that the inboard one, which is this one, slid over onto the outboard door, and then both opened together, hinged outboard. So something like that. So what we're going to have to do is glue these 2 parts together. When they were open, they looked something like that. So I'll go ahead and do that now. So that's ready to attach onto the hanger, and I'm going to glue it at this point because trying to fix that to a painted surface is going to be quite difficult. Okay, so that's all done, ready for some primer. This is the open hanger. And I've just finished it off by scratch building this top door here. It is provided in the Trumpeter set, but it's a very thick piece of plastic. And making it out of some very fine plastic sheet like this just adds that little bit of scale realism to the piece. So that's all ready for some primer. I'll do that now, and then we'll just get it painted, and we can have a look what it looks like with the Arado inside. Okay, so that's the hangers painted up. The difficult thing with these is to get the dark grey on the roof. The masking tape that you've got to use in some of the areas runs the risk of pulling the photo-etch off, so you've got to be really careful masking up delicate structures like this. But I managed to get away with it, and these are all ready to go on the ship now. What I'm going to do just at the end of the video is show you how these hangers look next to the funnel that I built last week. And we'll also pop one of the Arados into this hanger here with the open door. So you'll be able to see the configuration as it's going to look on the ship when it's finished. Okay, so that's all done for another week. I'm pretty pleased with how those hangers have turned out, particularly the one with the open doors and the Arado in it. It was a bit of a puzzle trying to work out how those doors operated when they were opened, but thanks to the anatomy of the ship book, I managed to work that out, and it looks pretty good on that side of the ship. So next time I want to move on and get some of these structures fitted to the ship. I've been building all these superstructure elements as sub-assemblies really, and I want to get them fitted securely onto the model now. And at that stage I'll be able to see what other bits of detailing and what sequence of build I want to take on from this point forward. So next time, part 22, that's what I'll be doing. And that'll be coming up as usual Friday night at 8 o'clock. So I hope to see you for that one. In the meantime, everybody, look after yourselves, stay safe, and I'll see you in another few days. Bye for now.